touched some on the third-class medical issue, which, of course, the administrator was here talking about yesterday and basically said is going to be a lengthy timeline. Is that an issue that the Senate can get involved in?
No, that's part of the Pilot's Bill of Rights, too. You'll find any bureaucracy wants to take as much time as possible. And now I'm not saying it's the case in this particular issue, but generally it's because the longer a bureaucracy can stall something, the more they can justify their existence and justify getting more employees. I'll give you an example. The FAA's total budget to operate in 2000 was $9.6 billion. Today, as at the end of last year, it was over $16 billion. That was a 67% increase in that bureaucracy, and yet their workload, if anything, is less because the number of pilots is decreasing. So how do they do it? They take as long as they can in implementing something. There's no reason in the world that something like that should take, as the administrator said yesterday, I understand, 2 or 3 years. It should be in a matter of months.
And it's the same question with the Part 23 rewrite, because Deputy Administrator Gilligan was in front of the House committee late last week and said that's 2 years behind schedule, and that's already the law of the land.
I give you the same answer on that one. Bureaucracies are slow because it inures to their benefit to be slow. And I'm not singling out the FAA, they're all the same. But right now there's one that's worse than the FAA, and that's EPA. Right now they're putting these regulations on, environmental regulations, they're going to put everybody out of business. And pilots are among those people.
And that kind of leads to something else because of the fuel standards that are being looked at right now, and that's an EPA issue.
On that issue, by 2018, we're going to have a fuel that can be usable in lieu of the leaded fuel. Now, if something happens that technology is not ready by that time, then we can extend it. The big problem you have now is with this administration, with Obama, he is the one that's just controlled by the far left environmental extremists, and they'd like to have it, yesterday. And so they're trying to use that, but we're in good shape on that because that's where we're in control until 2018.
As a general aviation pilot and a member of the U.S. Senate, I know you've taken a real leadership role in trying to really build up the reputation of GA among your colleagues. Do you find that to be a challenge?
Yeah, one of the problems is there are very few of them that are in there. And I can remember back when I did the fix in the law for Bob Hoover to keep him in the sky, there are many people there at that time that the answer was always, Inhofe, they're all fat cats. I said, you come to Oshkosh, you see these they're single issue people, but they're building airplanes in their garages. They're doing things and if you ever saw a more down-to-earth group, it's your general aviation public. So people who say, and there's still a lot of them that say, well, they're not sympathetic. Here's one problem that you have. If you have general aviation, as a group, there aren't that many of us. I know people think there are, but not as many as there are farmers, not as many as there are manufacturers, and others that can have some stroke because there are more. In the case of Obama and his user fees, he'll do anything he can to get user fees, and he tries to say, well, since he doesn't have their support anyway, he's going to load up everything on them. He's even talking about and trying to push for his $100 a trip user fees to use the system. Confession is good for the soul. I can tell you what I would do. I just wouldn't file. I just wouldn't go to them. I'm not going to pay. Sometimes I'll take as many as 6 or 7 trips in one day. That'd be $600 or $700 to use a system that we're already paying for through our fuel tax. But nonetheless, there are a lot of people who have written off that public, and that's why my job's a little harder. In my state of Oklahoma, this is kind of funny, until this last election, and I've been elected in Congress for 8 years in the House and 20 years in the Senate, that I've been the only pilot in our Oklahoma delegation until this last year. And so they always end up coming to me, and the only veteran, I might add. So I end up with all the veteran and the pilot's issues.
Well, Senator, we really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today. It's always great to see you, and thank you very much for taking some time.
This is the one thing I do a year I know I'm going to enjoy, and it's great when you can do it with your kids and grandkids.
Absolutely. Senator Inhofe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Aero-TV is brought to you by...
Who doesn't love to fly on a beautiful day? Views like these are half the reason you got a pilot's license in the first place. But as we all know, conditions change quickly. Sure, you've trained, but how often have you used that training in actual conditions? That's where the IMC Club comes in. If it's important to becoming a better pilot, we've got it covered. Because at IMC Club, our goal is to help pilots everywhere to be safer, smarter, and ready for anything.
ForeFlight Mobile gives you better situational awareness, more productivity, and simplified decision-making in one elegant app. Start your 30-day trial today and discover the joy of flying with ForeFlight.
Concorde Platinum Series batteries are available for all aircraft and offer extra cranking power, resulting in less draw on the battery per cycle for longer life. Visit booth 2053 at Oshkosh. Concorde, for the heart of your aircraft.